I'm Dana Denha, and you're watching FYI. Although the season has been fairly mild in comparison to years past, there's still plenty of winter weather fun to be had right here in Washtenaw County. Skating, s'mores, and games on the ice were all the rage on a chilly Sunday afternoon.
We're at the Buhr Blitz here at Buhr Park Ice Arena, and behind me are some activities on the ice. This is a regular open skate activity at the ice rink, but what's special is that there's volunteers here coordinating and facilitating games and activities.
It's basically like games all around the rink, and it's just a really fun day to like get to know other people and have some fun.
You'll get a chance to check out flying animals. You'll see a rubber chicken and a rubber pig flying through the air, being thrown at targets. There's an obstacle course. There's a game we call giant cup stacking, just giant cups. One of my favorites also is the fly swatter fun with balloons and fly swatters, so kids are just having the opportunity to bounce around some balloons as they skate or pass it back and forth.
Give 365 volunteers help make the day a blast.
We're always looking for ways to engage volunteers and do something within the park system. So this event is just an example of an opportunity where volunteers have that they can kind of add something special to the drop-in skating and make it a little more fun, and we kind of coordinate the games and volunteers bring all the magic.
Stay tuned, and we'll be back shortly with more news and information. We here in Washtenaw County strive to divert waste from landfills, but sometimes when you're left without options, recycling ends up in the trash. One of our local colleges is on a mission to change habits, starting on campus. Washtenaw Community College rolled out 90 new recycle waste stations dedicated to proper disposal.
Here at WCC, we see recycling as a gateway activity to improve people's sustainability overall in their lives. There is more focus now on standardization, availability of bins that are bold, that stand out, that somebody can see immediately when they're looking to dispose of an item.
WCC uses dual stream recycling to alleviate contamination.
It increases the recyclability of the waste stream. If we mix glass, plastic, and maybe cups that contain drinks in with the paper, we contaminate our paper. More of it has to be removed from the recycling stream, which means the recycling system is less efficient. WCC's waste management strategy prioritizes waste reduction, then reuse of waste produced, then recycling of whatever waste cannot be reused before we finally think about disposal.
It's the snowy season, and if those flakes ever do fall, there's some need-to-know information for residents and businesses alike as they keep their sidewalks safe for pedestrians. Learn more about snow removal guidelines in the city of Ann Arbor in this month's City Roundup in 60.
Hello, my name is Robert Keller with the City of Ann Arbor. Winter means snow and ice, and that makes it hard for people to get around the city, especially pedestrians. So as a resident and business, you need to do your part and help clear your sidewalks of ice and snow. What does that mean? Well, for residents, it means any snow accumulation greater than 1 inch has to be cleared within 24 hours. If you're a business, any snow accumulation by 6 a.m. needs to be cleared by noon the same day. So help do your part, clear your adjacent sidewalks, crosswalk ramps, and any concrete bus stops that may be adjacent to your property, and help make it easier for people to get around the great city of Ann Arbor.
St. Joseph Mercy Health System has seen some big changes in the past year as they reopened their doors to a newly enhanced cancer center, as well as introducing new technologies to hospitals throughout the system. And there was another big change in leadership as St. Joe's swore in a new president with 27 years of healthcare administration experience. Joining me is Bill Manns, president of St. Joseph Mercy Ann Arbor in Livingston. Welcome to the show, Bill.
Thank you very much for having me.
Why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself and what kind of led you down the healthcare path and administration, because now you're here with us.
Yeah, absolutely. So I grew up thinking I wanted to be a physician. Went through much of life. Went to University of Michigan as an undergrad. Took all the prerequisites for medical school. And one day I saw a sign that said careers in healthcare administration in little letters. And it was an opportunity to take undergraduate minority students and expose them to healthcare administration as a career. So I applied and was accepted into the program. Did an internship in healthcare and literally fell in love with the industry. Went back to U of M, took all the prerequisites for the School of Public Health and Healthcare Administration, was accepted, graduated, and haven't looked back. Absolutely love what I do.
So no regrets about being a doctor?
Zero regrets.
Well, you're still working in healthcare, so you're right in the middle of it all.
Exactly. And, you know, I think the interesting thing from my perspective is the power of the pen, right? The ability to help shape policy, the ability to start new programs, establish new practices, et cetera, and really have a macro influence to people.
Mm-hmm. So your career's kind of led you around different paths in different states. Why don't you talk about where you've traveled and how you kind of ended up back here?
Yeah, so you talk about coming full circle. So when I was at University of Michigan in graduate school, I lived about half a mile from St. Joe's. I finished graduate school and worked in and around Southeast Michigan, number of different healthcare providers in Southeast Michigan. Left and went to California, the Bay Area of California, and did a fairly significant health system turnaround out there, and thought I'd be there for a couple of years, but ended up staying in California for about 8 years. Mm-hmm. Left California, came back to Michigan, was at our sister hospital, Mercy Health St. Mary's in Grand Rapids, was over there for 5 years, and then came over to St. Joe's, Ann Arbor, and Livingston.
So were you the president when you were at St. Mary's?
I was the president.
And when you say sister hospital, what does that relationship actually entail?
Yeah, so both organizations are part of Trinity Health, which is one of the nation's largest Catholic systems. And so we're in over 20 states, over 90 hospitals. And so that sister hospital relationship, the state of Michigan has now become a region. And so Rob Casselou, my boss, is the president and CEO of all the hospitals in the state of Michigan. Mm-hmm. And so two of the hospitals are St. Joe and Ann Arbor, and then Mercy Health St. Mary's in Grand Rapids.
Okay, so is there a big difference between like the size of the hospitals or like the transition of coming from Grand Rapids to Ann Arbor? Yeah,
so the St. Joe's is definitely much larger than Mercy Health St. Mary's in Grand Rapids. It's probably 2.5 times the size. Mm-hmm. That said, I mean, I think both hospitals have so many positive things to offer. One of the benefits of being the president over there and now the president here is that you see best practices in both locations and the ability to actually share those best practices across the state.
That's great. So why don't you tell me a little bit about your first couple months here, and why do you think it was important to have someone like you that was an internal candidate get a position as position as president?
So the first couple of months have been beyond my expectations, to be honest with you. You know, you often think or dream about achieving such a position. Like I said, when I was in graduate school, I lived half a mile from the hospital, and I dreamed, wow, maybe one day I'll be able to get a job there. Yeah. Much less to become the president, right? And so often you dream about getting something, and once you achieve it, you go, oh, it's not all that. This job is not like that. You know, being the president, I still walk around and go, wow. I'm amazed at the people. The first few months, what really has stood out has been the compassion that you see amongst our caregivers and providers. I'm impressed with the technology that exists at St. Joe's, Ann Arbor, and in Livingston. I'm impressed with the ability to really put the patient first. And I see that over and over again.
Yeah, that was one of the things when I was covering the cancer center reopening. That was one of the big things that they talked about, how important it is to be there for the patient and make their experience one that they remember in a positive way.
Yeah.
So that's amazing to me, because I think like a lot of times when you go to a hospital or a doctor, you don't think about that aspect of it. You think about just getting the medical attention that you need and not about the way the patient is actually feeling.
Yeah, well, it's been interesting. I mean, you mentioned my 27 years of healthcare experience. So I've worked at a lot of different hospitals and healthcare organizations. And with the cancer center opening in particular, you could see that the designers, the architects, the caregivers were really purposeful in putting the patient first. And what's the flow, what's the patient going to experience, and everything was designed around the patient, as opposed to we're going to design it and the patient will be forced to really fit within our confines. You could see and feel that they had been very intentional in designing it for the patient and the patient's family.
So coming to St. Joe's Ann Arbor and seeing that sort of patient care, does that sort of change your mentality about what you're seeing for the future of St. Joe's in other aspects of the medical facility?
No, actually, if anything, it kind of confirms or reaffirms that the vision that I have for St. Joe's, they're already on that path. I am a lean practitioner, and for those who may not know what it means, Toyota Production System, or as we like to say, the Trinity Health Leadership System. And so essentially, the Toyota Production System is, as I like to say, one of the things that helps save American automotive industry. And often when I say lean, I think people immediately have a visceral reaction and think he's talking about layoffs or downsizing, and nothing could be further from the truth. What it really is about is the process and flow. And so how do we reduce waste in the system? How do we ensure efficiency so that you don't get to the point where you have to do layoffs? And so St. Joe's in particular has been focused on that experience for the patient and ensuring that we can be as efficient as humanly possible so that we can continue to grow and thrive. So it's been exciting.
What do you feel like, because you said you worked at a lot of hospitals and now coming to St. Joe's, what do you feel like sets St. Joe's apart from other hospitals?
So a couple things. I mean, one, I didn't know this until I started doing the due diligence around the job. So St. Joe's is actually the largest healthcare system by land mass in the nation. So that's huge. The other thing is St. Joe's has the latest technology. And then when you step back and you take a look at the values associated with being part of Trinity Health. So you put the values together with the latest technology, the people who have compassion, and then a focus on how can we be as efficient as possible. You have all the ingredients for just remarkable care. And so I think that really sets St. Joe's apart from virtually any other health system.
Well, thank you for coming on the show, Bill, and congratulations on your new position.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
For more on this and other programs, visit a2gov.org/watchctn. Visit youtube.com/CTN Ann Arbor to see all that CTN has to offer. And remember to like, comment, and share. Thanks for watching, and tune in next time to FYI.